Could this, Arsenal against Manchester City, could this be a match that decides who might win the Premier League title?
Well, I mean, the World Cup fatigue, I think, applies to Man City as well. You know, they got the win against Aston Villa yesterday, but it wasn't the most convincing performance, I don't think. Erling Haaland, whether he's going to be fit is going to be a big issue. Might actually play into Man City's hands if he doesn't play, because his away goal scoring record is nowhere near as good as his home one. But Arteta's got an issue at the moment. You know, 3 games without a win.
Yeah.
And
it could have been a win if, you know, the decision was called right the other day.
Liverpool could have won 6-0 tonight if they'd have scored 4 more goals. I mean, it wasn't a win, it was a draw. And in the end, the point being is that as a manager, you've got to try and encourage and give your team confidence. Well, 2 defeats and a draw, all of a sudden it's like, what has he got to say that get them to turn around against the Man City side who know, similar to Liverpool when they play Newcastle, if they win with the game in hand, then, or especially for City, they'll go top of the table at least, knowing that they've got to play Arsenal at the Etihad in a not too distant future. So it's a great opportunity for City, but they're not at their best. I mean, it's going to be a fascinating game. Hopefully it'll be a little bit warmer than it is tonight.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? On the weekend, how much will Arsenal be looking at that decision, that VAR decision against Brentford? And look at that moment. Look, it wasn't a great weekend for VAR across the board. There was an issue with the Chelsea-West Ham game as well that I think people don't talk about too much with the Thomas Suchek. Goalkeeping save, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Howard had to come out, had to call for an emergency VAR meeting. Surely, beyond just the apology, yes, I've issued the apology, surely something more can be done with that, because coming into the season, if Arsenal loses to Manchester City the title by 2 points, that game could have been all the difference.
Yeah, I think it won't be the only point, and I don't think it will be the last time we're talking about VAR, you know, before the end of the season. You know, at the weekend we've seen VAR at its poorest, you know, in terms of the decisions. There was a few decisions that shouldn't have been given, and they were given. You know, how, you know, well, one of them was certainly human error by missing a line.
Can some sort of action try to maybe make up for it?
I just don't know whether there has to be a safety net underneath that if someone is but you know how much VAR was brought in to try and eradicate these human error mistakes.
But there still will be human errors, because it's a human making that decision still at Stockley Park. It's still subjective.
Yeah. I mean, you're passing one subjective opinion on the pitch, or a number of subjective opinions on the pitch, into another set of people. I think with regards to the lines, the VAR or Premier League, or whoever's in charge of all this, has to look at investing in better technology, because therefore you'll get a better result from it.
Yeah.
I think VAR is always going to cause controversy, and if Arsenal blame a VAR decision for a 2 points drop, then maybe they should blame Arteta for losing to Everton, because that's 3 points. You know, in the end...
Well, some Everton fans are demanding a replay of that match. Let's put it that way. They're looking for more action than just an apology.
I think the one thing and all that Mikel's got to concentrate on is not letting what's happened at the weekend affect tomorrow night's game, because that's the most... They can't do anything about what's happened last weekend. What they can do is focus on getting a result against Man City, which will create, I think, 5 points again. You know, and I think what you can find, if you're not very careful, you can start to feel sorry for yourself, and then you give the players an excuse then to say, well, you know, everyone's against us, and you can lose concentration, and you can take your eye off the ball in terms of what's in front of you. The one thing that Arsenal have got to do now, they've got a chance to really lay a marker down again tomorrow against the champions, and not let what's gone on affect in terms of their performance tomorrow, because you know what's going to happen is that if they do, then he's going to say, well, everything's against us. And look at yourself before you start looking at other things.
Shall we get early predictions then from the both of you? Arsenal, Man City?
Ooh. What did I say?
I
said right before the weekend. I said 2-2.
You said 2-2 before the weekend.
Before the
After
weekend.
the weekend, what would you say?
After tonight and everything, I'm going to go 2-1 Man City.
2-1 Man City.
Took the words out of my mouth. Exactly the same. 2-1 Man City.
It's very rare we have two guests with the exact same prediction.